Hello, Lee. Lovely to see you on the podcast today. Thank you so much for joining me all the way from Chicago today, right?
In Wisconsin, which is not that far away.
Okay. All right. Fabulous.
Josephine, thank you so much for having me. What a pleasure to be with you.
It's my pleasure. I'm really looking forward to this conversation. Lee, you have such a vast and very varied career. You had a really impactful career. You're a communications strategist, a CEO, author of 2 books, Millennials and Management and the Boomerang Principle, which I'm sure we'll talk a little bit about today. You're a podcast host yourself. You've got a degree in medieval history, which is just fabulous. So my question, and I could go on, by the way. So my
Please
question,
don't.
my question to you is, what are the major milestones in your life that have led you to the things you care about today?
Oh my gosh. Well, I think that it's so many. Do we have a long time?
We
But
have as long as you need.
one was having awesome parents who did not, I came from a high achieving family with varied backgrounds, blah, 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 but they did not push me into anything. And their rule was, if you're interested and you practice, you can do whatever you want. We'll pay for the
I
lessons, all
love
the
that.
things. And, I think that is so important today, where particularly because I've got to try lots of different things. And I would sort of dive in, go deep and go, maybe not. Then I would, because I was able to go deep on so many things, I was able to find those things that bring me joy, which was great. And also to find
Yeah.
the things that I'm good at. So when I did go to college, I had a whole different plan for myself, which more around being in the medical profession.
Mm-hmm.
But I found out fast that I hated chemistry. And I was like, I probably shouldn't go into medicine if I don't like
No.
chemistry.
Yeah.
Call me
Very
crazy.
wise.
But I loved this class I was in. It was Chaucer's England. And so I decided to major in medieval history. And today people would go, oh my God, that's so dumb. But I just want to encourage any young listener to say, if you're interested in medieval history, go major in it. Because what that taught me has brought me through my entire career in public relations, which is how to identify, articulate, and defend a point of view. That is the point of history. And that's what I
Yes.
do every day. I do it every single day, even though I don't talk about, knights and castles and monks a lot anymore. Although,
Maybe that's another podcast conversation.
right. Although during the pandemic, I finally got to use it because I might have written a lot of papers about the Black Death. And there are a lot of similarities.
Yeah.
So finally I called my dad and I said, hey, Dad, I'm using my degree. Oh, it took 35 years. Anyway, so that's one thing, right? So I guess those are 2 things.
Yeah.
One is that my parents sort of just said, go find things what you love.
Mm.
And, but if you don't practice, you're out. I mean, they would not pay for anything.
Mm-mm.
And then finding what I liked, and then figuring out that I guess this in there was my friend Ramona said, I didn't know what I wanted to do with my life and I had to have a job. And she said, you should try PR. I did not know what it was.
Right.
So
Yes.
I went and found this little book. What is PR? I'm like, that sounds good. And I just totally lucked into this career that I really love, that I'm really good at. And that has taken me many, many different places in many great things and very hard things, but all the things, I've been able to do it. That, again, met my husband, who was not who I anticipated, not the type of person or didn't have the credentials I was looking for.
Yes.
Basically the antithesis of what I was looking for. And this year we'll celebrate 30 years being married. So that was obviously a
Congratulations.
big deal, right? And I
Yes.
have a bingo card I do every year. Oh, it's right here. I have a bingo card I do every year. And B1 right here is stay married.
Wow. I love that. Yeah.
Stay married. And that's a lot of work, as you know, right? It's just a lot of work.
Yes. Yes.
And then in that relationship was when we had our first child, he's like, I think you should stay to work and I should stay at home. And I was like, wait, what happened? This was not the life I planned. But in the end, it was the best thing, right?
Yeah.
And then I think the next thing was 9/11. 9/11, I had 2 young children. I was in a very, I was running about 13 offices, 700 people for this very large global entity. 9/11 happened. I was working for people who did not know what to do. I hated my job with the passion of the burning sun. And I was like, I'm I was on a plane from New York to San Francisco exactly 1 week earlier
Wow.
than that, and one of the planes went down was from New York to San Francisco.
Yes.
And, I was like, "You know what? I'm not doing that."
Ah,
So, I exercised my contract and I got out. I'm like, "I'm not working for people. Life's too short. That could have been me. It's
yes.
not gonna be me." And then I had a plan, and then my mother got sick. I was gonna take a whole year off. I drove my husband crazy. That didn't work. Didn't do a different job. And then my mom got diagnosed with stage 4 lung cancer. She was given 4 months to live.
Oh,
I was gonna be with her. I am the breadwinner. I had to find a
mm-mm.
job.
Mm.
At that time, you couldn't work remotely.
Yes.
So I started my own company because I'm totally an accidental entrepreneur built out of need, right? Because I have to put a roof over our heads.
Yeah.
So in the end, with that crystallization, my mother was gonna die, my kids, I have a younger child who is developmentally disordered. We had just figured that out. I was gonna
Mm,
be where my family needed me no matter what.
that's right. Mm.
I have to put a roof over my head. I don't wanna be, depressed doing that since I hated my last job.
Yes.
I'm gonna create a job that I'm gonna love, because if I'm not taking care of me, I cannot take care of any of these people around me.
100%.
Um, and that is how I started Double Forte with a friend, and we decided that we have to be interested in the work we're doing. We have to get paid because we like to eat. And in Silicon Valley at that time, everyone was getting paid in equity. I'm like, I can't pay people in equity.
Yes,
My
yes, yeah.
babysitter's not taking stock options that may not,
No.
and can I swear on your podcast?
Yeah, you can, absolutely.
No assholes, because
Love that.
why am I gonna have a company that I have to put the risk into and have to work with assholes?
Exactly.
So those 3 rules have been constant since I started the company in 2002,
Mm, mhm,
even though our business has changed dramatically since then. So those are the
mm.
moments in time that have led me to this moment in time. You
Amazing.
asked. There you
I know.
go.
I love it, Lee. And you know what? Because I there are lots of unexpected routes,
Oh,
unexpected pathways, and that is, I often say that to a lot of the young people I mentor. They're so anxious about the
oh,
future and
so
wanting
anxious.
a certain pathway, and there are good reasons why
Mhm.
they should be anxious, or they're feeling that anxiety. That's very
Yes.
valid. But at the same time, life happens through those unexpected pathways, through those
Yeah.
unexpected routes. But it is about being there and ready to take on an opportunity. So I
Yes.
love that early value that your parents instilled about, well, do what you love but practice. Because
Practice.
if you're not building your capability, then you can't take that
Yeah.
opportunity, right? So you
Well,
have
I
to be good
think
at
that
what you do.
we have to be good, and, we're all born with a gift or 2 or 3, I think, is my belief, and, we all have natural gifts, and number 1, but natural gifts only get you so far. You know,
Yes.
my older son is a musician, a prodigy musician. He
Mm.
got so far on being a prodigy, and then he had to work his butt off,
Right.
right? You only get so far on your gifts,
And your
and
natural
then
gifts.
on your natural gifts, I think. And then how do you hone them? How do you make sure that what you bring to that party gives you the options that you want to have? Because I think as humans,
Mm.
we're the richest when we have the most options. When we're not painted into a corner, when we know that we can, if something happens, we could zig and zag. And my whole career, even though it's all been in communications, which is
Mm.
unusual, it's totally unusual in today's
Mm.
world. I have zigged and zagged my entire career, and I've been able to do that because I dedicated myself to understanding the craft and just
Mhm.
working through it, right? Because nothing has changed more in the last 20 years than how we communicate as humans.
Exactly. Exactly. I was
Nothing.
going to say that, Lee.
Nothing.
You wouldn't have been able to predict it, in
Oh,
fact.
you couldn't have. When I started the company before Twitter. So if
Right.
I had said, we're just going to do things the way I've only learned how to do them, we would have been
Yes.
out of business, in year 2.
Yes.
So you
Yeah.
gotta do those things. And then, I put that rule of no assholes because life is too short. Life is too short. And we do not have to, I don't believe, and I've proven it for 24 years in this company, and, and with lots of, hundreds of people who have worked for me here,
Yeah.
that you don't have to be an asshole to do things well.
No, I agree too. I
And actually,
absolutely
it's
agree.
easier. It's actually easier
Mhm.
when you are value driven and you have high care of your people, as long as you have high expectations. If you have high care and low expectations, it will not work. And if you
Mhm.
have high expectations and low care, it also won't work
Yes.
easily. There'll be a lot of conflict and there'll be a lot
Mm-mm.
of friction. But if you have high expectations and high care, you can make a lot of good things happen.
Mm-mm. And it feels like where people get stuck, and I'd love to your thoughts on this, is where they think that the equation is high control rather than high
Yeah.
expectation. Do you see that?
My gosh, so true. I mean,
Yeah.
command and control works in only a couple of situations. If there's death or there could be death,
Mm-hmm.
that's when command and control works,
Yeah.
really
Yeah.
works with thinking people who have free will.
Mm.
And good people always have choices. And my goal always is to surround myself with the best people who are smarter than me. And they all can go somewhere else. And as long as I, as the company owner, understand that everyone who works for me could go somewhere else, because I don't
That's
want them if
right.
they couldn't get a job somewhere else. I mean, I have no
Yes.
interest in the bottom of the barrel.
Yes.
And then I'm very focused on how do I align so that the company thrives and they thrive.
Mm. Yeah.
And marrying those two things is messy, right? Command and control assumes order. And
Mm-hmm.
order, we're humans, and order only works when someone's going to die,
Yes.
frankly.
Yeah, yeah. I actually like. I've been thinking about whether there are exceptions to that rule, but yeah, I think that's pretty right. It's when there are those high stakes, but
Yeah.
otherwise, people will exercise their free will
Oh,
and their meaning making, of course. And
yeah.
we are creatures that need
Mm-hmm.
meaning and will create meaning. And
Absolutely. Absolutely. One of the things I didn't share, well, I'm going to share it now. One of the things that I learned so my father was a surgeon. And in our family, we never said please and thank you. It was implied because my dad
hmm
always said, Lee, please and thank you are implied. Because if I'm
hmm
saying please and thank you all day long in the operating room, someone's going to die because
yeah,
that takes a lot of time. Right.
yeah,
So in my work, I just never, it was never part of my thing. And I had surgery. I was out for 12 weeks and I came back and I wanted to it was a great time to go get rest. And I asked my team for feedback, like, how do we do? I got a coach and I did that 360.
hmm
Oh my God, Josephine, I scored the worst on on respect, which
hmm
because I'd never said please and thank you.
right,
And that's what came through. So people liked working for the company. They liked what we were doing. People stayed with us for a long time. We were doing great. We had fun, but I
hmm
never said please and thank you. And I scored like the bottom of the barrel on this topic. I was in tears. I was in tears, and I had to
yeah,
learn how to say please and thank you at 39.
yes,
So, I think the other thing that has helped me for sure on those things is you got to be a lifelong learner. You got to
mm,
be a lifelong learner. And
yeah,
particularly for young people, they're like anxious to get out of college or
yes.
university and go into the world. And I'm done. You're never
Yeah.
done.
No, that's
You're
right.
never done. And
We are
if you
always
think you're
learning.
done, you're going to limit your choices. So one thing to do is and I force it on my staff. Like I force learning on my staff.
Mm-mm.
Another book from Lee. But, that's all there is to it. So,
That's
anyway, I digress as usual. Sorry.
that's fine. We love to digress. Um, Lee, I wanted to ask you what are so that like you said, communications has changed so
Mm,
dramatically. The methods around
methods.
communication
Yeah.
methods. The need for it and the purpose, perhaps. Yeah, exactly. And so, what are you seeing, particularly with the teams that you're working with, in the
Hmm.
workplaces that you're working with? Are there any common patterns right now that
Yeah.
you're? And can I ask you, are they mainly
Sure.
in the States? Your
No.
clients, or okay, that's
Yes. Our
global.
our clients, we work in North America. We have clients who are global.
Yes, yeah,
But we have partners around the world, but I just didn't want to get on a plane that much.
yeah, yeah,
So
yeah.
we work North America, but most of our clients have global distribution or have
Mhm.
global operations. Yeah.
Yeah. And so what are the patterns that you're
Hmm.
seeing? What are the, if there are patterns?
So I see patterns. So we see communication across the globe because of our integration with our
Mm,
clients.
mm,
Sometimes when you speak different languages, it's easier to make sure that everyone's on the same page. That when you don't speak different language, you're like assume everyone understands you. But
right.
when people are speaking Spanish first or French or Chinese or Japanese or whatever it is, Norwegian, we have a couple of Norwegians in our groups, Welsh, then you make an extra effort to
Mm,
make sure you're clear because you know that whatever English is not the first language, or maybe you're speaking the second language and they're speaking the first language.
yes.
But we need to understand that all English speakers are not speaking the same English, you know, and this is a great example, right? How you would spell, you would use the U where I don't use a U, all the
Yes.
kind of things, right?
Yes.
And even in this country, and I'm sure it's, Australia is so large,
Mm,
it just must be true. America is so large that people who are from the South and people who are from the North have very different cultures. From the Northeast to the Southeast, from the Northwest to the Southeast, in the middle, we all use different words. So, like for Coke, a cola, in
mm-hmm,
some places it's Coke, other places it's pop, other places it's soda, other places it's just cola. It
mm-hmm,
means the same thing, but you would not know that if you were
mm-mm.
listening,
That's
right?
right. That's
Unless you
right.
knew.
Yeah.
I think that's universal, is that we make assumptions that if we say something, people understand it.
Right.
Another assumption I see a lot is that we, and this is sort of more generational and cultural, but we have terms that we all used, and I'll just use the generations as an example here. But in, baby boomers, which are post World War II babies,
Mm,
right? 1964 is the last year. So those people are
yes.
62 this year.
Yes.
Um, they know the term end of day to mean 5 or 5:30. That's what it
Right.
means.
Right.
And they know the term end of week to mean Friday at 5
Right.
o'clock.
Mm-hmm.
If you say that term to someone who is a millennial or a Gen Z, so
Mm-hmm.
someone between, what is that, 18 to 35, 36.
Mm-hmm.
End of day to them is 11:59:59 p.m. or for you 23:59:59, right? Because in college and in high school, that was their deadline.
Mm-hmm.
You send it to me by
Absolutely.
email or in the system, 11:59:59. So you're in the time, right?
Mm.
And they get into the workplace and they hear someone says to them, someone my age goes, "Hey, send it to me by the end of the day."
Yeah.
And they do in their minds. And they're late for me,
Yeah.
right? So we all have different lingo that we assume the other person understands. I mean, this is universal. And this is really, that lingo differentiation is the core of most conflict in the workplace. Most conflict is around deadlines and formats. What was due when? So
Yes.
in my first book, I basically almost killed my company by not understanding that millennials were different. And I sort of unpeeled the onion after I didn't read it. Everything I read about them said they were entitled. I'm like, 80 million people in this country can't be that
Can't be.
entitled. It's impossible.
Exactly. That's right.
It's
I totally
statistically
agree.
impossible. So then I just started peeling the onion, and that's when
Yeah.
I discovered this myself. I was like, oh,
Mm.
okay. But that's when we started driving. Like, for an example, if we give a deadline, it's due, what's today? Oh, well, you're a day ahead of me. So it's due April 10th at 8 a.m. in Sydney, Australia.
Right.
And so there is no one can
Yes.
misunderstand that.
Exactly.
What's the date? What's the time? What's the time zone? And it seems for people, even if people are in the same office, it seems like, oh, that's stupidly. No, we're all over the map. Maybe you're going to Hawaii. Maybe you're going to be working out of New York. We
Yeah.
have to do that. So I think that is a pattern I see all over the place. And I think the
Mm.
last pattern I see, particularly from leadership, is they've said it, they have proclaimed it, and therefore people must understand it. And one and done does not work. It just doesn't work. And particularly for leaders, they like to be heard and they want to be listened to, obviously. I like to be listened to. I like to be heard. But I usually only proclaim something after I've spent at least a month thinking about it, throwing it
Yes,
around in my head. I
that's
test
right.
it. I talk to my leadership team, like, what do you think about this? And I get their feedback, and then I might roll something out. And we all forget that we've already been rolling it around our head. These
Exactly.
people have to catch up to us.
That's right.
And in general, leaders are, this is a generality, but I think I'm safe saying this. We're impatient. We're on to the next
Yes,
thing. And
exactly.
we just have to get bored with it. We
Mm-mm.
just have to get bored with repeating ourselves. And if our people can't finish our sentences, they don't get it. So I think that is a pattern I see no matter who you are,
Yeah.
no matter what country you're from, that we just want to move on and we can't. We should not move on until everyone gets it. So those are the patterns I see no matter what.
Yeah, and particularly on that last point, I see a lot of leaders doing that, and they want to move on, and then they mistake that lack of awareness in their
Mhm.
teams as resistance.
Yes.
And so they call it resistance, but in fact, it's just that those people have not had the message delivered to them in the amount of time that
Yeah.
it takes to mull it
Or
over and create
mull it
meaning.
over and understand what it means for them, right? Understand what and I no one wants to sound like a dummy, you know? How often, "Okay, here's the plan. Thanks for that last 45 minutes. Anybody have any questions?" No one's gonna ask a
Yes,
question. I gotta go to the bathroom. Second of all, I don't wanna look like the idiot, you know?
yes, yeah, yeah,
And
exactly.
I think we ask them the wrong questions. I think the appropriate question to ask is, "That was a lot, guys. I know that was a lot. What kind
Yeah,
of questions do you think you're gonna get from your team?" And that takes the pressure out of you being
it
the
does.
dummy, right? And it also says and then, also people are like, "Okay, go do," instead of, "Let that sit around in your brain. Let's mull it. Let's do it in a while. We're gonna come back in a week, and I want everyone to sort of talk about what's gonna change for me or
Mm,
you given the situation, and let's
yeah,
hash it all out." Because
exactly.
no one understands how much my life is gonna change as I do with whatever the new direction is,
Absolutely,
right?
absolutely.
So we rush. We rush too much.
Yeah, and I do a lot of work in change, in
Yeah.
transformation change at the large scale, and you and I cross over in that.
Yeah.
You call it PR communications,
Mhm.
perhaps that's sort of been the specialty, but actually it's about helping people lead change and transformation, which
Absolutely.
is where I kind of
Yeah.
come in from an organizational psychology point of view,
Mhm.
but they're very linked
Very
because
linked.
often what we're trying to do is get leaders to deliver messages in a way that is authentic,
Mhm.
empathic,
Yes.
shows vulnerability appropriately, and that
Mhm.
is actually sometimes a tough ask for some
It's a
leaders. I
big
know
task. Yeah.
yeah, it is. I know you've got you've worked with leaders like that.
Mhm.
What would be, your tips for them? What
Mhm.
do they need to do better? Or
Mhm.
maybe, what would be the one, two, three off the
Yeah.
top of your head?
Well, I think the first thing is prepare to repeat yourself.
Yeah.
2 is remember when you were at the bottom of the pile, you know? And you're only as good as the slowest person in the room.
Yeah.
So, and I think it's been, last 6 weeks have been very challenging for everybody in the world, I think.
Mhm.
And we're all worried about a lot of things at the same time
Yes,
as we're trying to move forward, right? And I
exactly.
was just talking to a client yesterday. He's like, "Lee, oh my God, I don't know if this is going to work or not." I said, "Well, you don't have a choice. We got to
Mm,
you have to keep moving. You got to keep moving even though you don't know, right? Stasis is not an option for this particular, really, it's not an option for any of us,
yes.
but stasis is not an option. So let's talk about how you can convey that and that you're worried about it, but that you're excited about the direction. And you can just say, it's been a tough you guys. I know it's been tough. I know some of our people, they have people who are in the Middle East, they are in the military, and they're not bringing it to, we get how tough this is. Other people have family who are totally, like one
Mhm.
of my clients who were in Abu Dhabi. And we have another set of clients who have a lot of people in Ireland who are not getting oil right now and the
Oh,
oil cost
wow.
has gone up so high.
Yeah. Yep.
So these are things that are true. So I get
Mhm.
it. It is
Mhm.
hard right now to sort of stay focused. So I
Yeah.
please know that I understand. Now,
Mm.
at the same time, we got to keep moving. We
Yeah.
got to keep moving. And, if we just put the world events aside for a second, I just want to
Mm.
share with you how excited I am about this direction we're going to go in. And we're going to keep going here until we know we shouldn't. But right now, I think this is going to work. And if it doesn't, we'll just keep tabs on it. We're going to
Mm.
pay attention to whatever we have to pay attention to. But look how, let's just talk about why this program is so exciting and what we
Right.
do have to change no matter what. The world has changed. We
Yeah.
got to get on whatever it is, right? We have to adjust. And our whole goal, whatever our mission at the company is, that mission didn't change, right? Our purpose didn't change.
Yeah.
Now, how we get to that purpose may have changed, but we're still on the same path. And if we can all, I don't know everything, I don't pretend to know everything. And as soon as I figure something out, I will share it with you. But let's just get on this path together until something changes, because something change, right?
Yeah.
And just sort of share that, right? And I just use that example because it's today, it's a good example,
Yes.
but,
And can I say, Lee,
you
that
know,
is an example that as I listen to you, I'm putting myself in the mind of, say, an employee, and I feel heard. I feel like my
hmm
reality is being mirrored. It
hmm
hear empathy, but then I also have an anxiety lowering reaction to the leader saying, I'm still excited about where we're
yeah,
going. Come with me. Let's do something purposeful, even though we're in
right.
this crazy environment. That to
Yeah.
me is the leader reducing my anxiety because now I
hmm
have something to do, something to, people
And that's your
want
job,
that.
right? So another way if you were just going to take the empathy out of it entirely and just think about it brass tacks,
Yeah.
people who are distressed do not perform as well as those who are not distressed.
Yes.
We know this. We know a lot about this. We all know that,
Yes.
also know that people who feel appreciated outperform those that don't, even if they're the same
Exactly.
skill level. And then we also know that people who are stressed financially, are worried about their finances,
Yeah.
lose around 6 to 7 hours per week in productivity because
Mm.
of the anxiety that creates.
Yes.
So you can fix the money thing by paying people better. The other things, that's just the human reaction. That's just because they're all in our brain, they're in our heart, they're in our gut, and they get in our way. Those
Hmm.
feelings, we're all human. Feelings can propel us or they
Hmm.
can deter us.
Yes.
And as the leader, it is our job, it is our absolute job to help people get the feelings out of their way
Yeah.
so that they can focus to propel, because that is the job. If you just didn't think
Mm-mm.
about that you should be a good human. There's money and there's dollars and cents, there's profit on the line for actually helping people not get
Yes.
anxious and not worry and not go, that's unfair. All the things, right?
Yes. Yes.
That is, and if you think about the money thing, right? 7 hours a week, that's 19%. That's 7 hours. That's almost a full day of work. So it's
Yes.
19% of your week gone because because you're not paid well.
Hmm.
Well, you've lost 19% of productivity. What if you paid them so that they wouldn't worry about it?
Yeah.
And you would have gained by not even hiring any more people, you would have gained that productivity back. So just knowing those things,
Yes.
that helps us be better. But it is our job to help people propel forward
Yes.
and acknowledge that we're human and acknowledge that life gets in the way. And what can we do to alleviate that? We can't alleviate everything,
Mm.
but we can alleviate a lot. We can, absolutely can. By
Yes.
by sharing this, I know it's confusing. I know and we're just gonna keep moving.
Yeah.
We're gonna keep moving. And we're going here and we're gonna make a difference. Our purpose is to make a difference in whatever this wedge is that we're doing,
Yeah.
right? We're gonna keep doing that. We're gonna keep doing that.
Mm-mm.
And your job here is gonna matter. Just know that. So when you can do that and share your own anxiety or explain it through your own acknowledgement of a situation, then people trust you more, A,
Yes.
and B, like you said, you just dropped there. I'm not alone. This guy gets or this
Exactly.
woman gets it,
Exactly.
right? If he
That's
can do
right.
it, so can I, kind of
Yes.
thing.
Exactly, exactly. There's a North Star that you've
Hmm.
recreated there, and but you need to do it, to your point, in the context of helping
Yeah.
people understand that you understand, because we can't. It's infuriating when we see leaders who are not talking about the major disruptions
Right.
that we are all
Going
experiencing.
through. Yeah.
That does create an emotional response. It's,
Right.
disengagement, anger, frustration. It's a sure
Like,
way to have people walk out the door. Even if they're there, they might still be coming to work every day, but
yeah.
they're not present. Yes, because
Well,
of that
I shared
disconnection.
at the beginning of this conversation, the 9/11 response from the people I was
Yeah.
working for was unsatisfactory to me. I was not going to stay around and be the
Uh,
only one who knew what the hell to do that day.
right,
Working
right.
for people. I wasn't. They were
Mm.
mad at me because I sent my people home. I'm like, "What?"
Mm.
And then I, of course, got a little like, "Oh, really?" And then they're not coming in tomorrow either. "You can't do that." I'm like, "Yes, I can. I
Yep.
already did." Then I quit 2 days later.
Right.
No, because I was like, "The world is on fire. What do you mean you're on the phone pitching a business story about,
Right.
a straw? I mean, what are you
It's
talking
tone deaf.
about?
It's tone deaf.
Ridiculous." So, that's just
Hmm.
me.
Lee, I think, I can see that there is some really practical, advisory that,
Mm,
so that you give. And I know that, because I know that leaders perhaps themselves, often don't know what to do. So I can imagine that
mhm.
incredible advisory. What do you see as perhaps in your business changing? I know we were sort of talking earlier about
Yeah.
the fact that you can't predict.
Mhm.
It's very hard because, particularly communications, it's changing.
Mhm.
But what do you think, perhaps even in the
Mhm.
short to long term, what are the changes in your industry?
Oh,
Where do you
so
think we're
many
going?
changes. So many changes. Well, when I started in this country, we have this thing called the chief communications officer. I assume you have
Yes,
something like
yes.
that here. But 20 years ago, they were really constrained to the military and government in this
Hmm.
country. And since I started this company, the chief communications officer is now in about 60% of
Yeah.
companies at all. So, what I can tell you is that the function of communication has gained credibility and is more
Mm.
important and is recognized by boards of directors at publicly traded and privately held
Hmm.
companies across the country, across the world, because you do not get a chief title if they don't want to value it, right? So the
Yes. Yeah.
good news for what we do in the PR communications world. And for me, just know that when I say PR, my first audience is the employee. So PR often means external communication, but to me,
Yes.
it's employee first and then everybody else second.
Internal.
Communications become so much more important,
Mm.
which is great, which is awesome. It's still very misunderstood. And well, why can't they just say what I want them to say? Well, are you going to pay them? If you pay them, in this world, what we do as communicators is try to, our goal is to convey a message that somebody else carries without paying them.
Yes.
Marketing, advertising is crafting a message and an image or whatever, an asset that you then pay for that space, or you
Yes.
pay for that follow, or you pay for the thing.
Mm. Yeah.
You got to do a lot more of that than the first to make something happen, to
Mm.
move a needle. So the good news for people like me is that more people want us. In terms of, so that's one thing. The
Mm.
second thing is AI is
Yes.
is gumming up the works in so many ways. And I think we focus too AI is here to stay. I mean, AI has been around for 30 years. I mean, this is not new. It's just we talk
Mm.
about it differently, right?
Mm.
I mean, Word, check has been in Microsoft Word for 30 years. So spell check. So how we think about AI should not be around what we produce as much, like the end result, as much as it should be for ideation
Yeah.
and for pressure testing, right? Here's my point of view. Here's my competition. Does this stand up? Here's the
Yeah.
15 people I care about. And then you can
Yeah.
get a lot more information so you can make a better recommendation.
Yes. Yeah.
And right now, people are using it. Write me a press release for this, or
That's
write
right.
me a speech for that. And it's crap. It's
Yeah.
crap.
Yeah. Yeah.
And
There's a
to my,
actual voice in there that you hear
yeah,
very often, and you know it's
you can
produced
tell.
by
You can
AI.
tell. So we have clients who don't let us use AI. We have clients who require us to use AI. They require us to use certain tools in AI or then to immediately switch them if they don't like that tool anymore. So it requires us to be like on the ball,
Mm,
right? Regardless. But as an advisor, the AI can't give me advice. It can
mm,
give me information. And what I think is so ironic, Josephine, is that at the
mm.
bottom of every AI platform, it says, check your results. AI might be wrong.
Yeah,
But we don't, as humans, we don't get that disclaimer. We're like,
that's right.
she's a human. She might be wrong. You know,
That's
it's
true.
crap. It's total crap. So sorry, your listeners are going, "Oh my god, this woman!" But it's just ridiculous, right? And you
Yeah,
can get in trouble for being wrong, but you can't get in trouble for using an. I mean, it's ridiculous. So, what's the best? We see it in PR, like, "Oh, I can just do that myself with AI." I'm like, "You can try. It's
yes,
not going to work." Because of all the safeguards people have against the slop. And we already see it. We see the
mm,
diminishing return on AI generated content.
yeah,
And what humans have is judgment. What humans have is a point of
yes,
view. What humans have is discernment. Yeah, I don't think that doesn't sound right. That
that's
is not
right.
good, kind of thing, right? And but getting a jump start on a good idea, love it.
Yeah, yes,
Get like,
yes,
how does this compare? Here's my
yeah,
15 competitors. How does this compare? Wow, I can get a 3-hour start on understanding the differentiation. I
that's
still have to
right.
go do more work.
Yes,
And I'm very concerned that younger people who will not know an existence without AI, how are they going to get the expertise?
yes, yes, yeah,
How are they going to
because they're
get that
bypassing.
judgment? How are they going to get the experience that gives you the judgment so you can make a call? I'm I'm worried about that, and I
Mm,
haven't cracked that code yet.
yeah, I think that perhaps the solution that comes to mind for
Please,
me.
I'm ready. What?
And I work with a lot of teams, and I think that face to face, or even teams, that ideation in present, in teams where people are
Mhm.
verbalizing, that is where I think particularly young
With
people need
people.
to be with
Yeah.
people. They need to be in the room as perhaps people who are more experienced, senior people are
Mhm.
discussing and
Yes.
really debating some of these
Mhm.
points. And that's because you're right, it's not the thinking and reflecting individually may be being bypassed by the use of some of these AI
Yeah.
tools, so they're not necessarily developing that thinking on their
Yeah.
own.
And
Yeah,
that's actually, so we're Double Forte is fully remote now. We had 3 offices at the beginning of COVID, and then we got rid of them all, and now everybody's
yeah.
everywhere.
Hmm.
And, they would like to be together, like, maybe once a month. But what we miss from it, and we get together as whenever we can. Whenever someone travels, we're getting together, which is great.
Yes,
But we literally have people in 5 time zones and
it
6
makes it
time zones right
challenging.
now. It's challenging, right? But that's why I started that's why I transformed my podcast. It used to be an interview show, and now it's a solo show.
Yeah.
And it's really for my people because I used to sit in the middle. This is the beautiful thing about the Japanese system, sitting at a table, closed table next to each other, and you hear the boss. And people would hear me talk, right? And they would be able to hear me. I would just it would everyone could hear everything I said unless it was totally confidential. But it would be like, "Joe, no, I need you to say that again. Joe, no, they didn't understand it. No, Joe, let's look at that contract again because I think you're at risk
Yes.
here, here, and here, right?" So the osmosis that happens in an office, even
Yes.
when you're present today, doesn't happen because everyone's wearing this,
That's
right?
right. That's right. It doesn't happen anymore. They're
So
very
that's why
quiet.
changed my podcast. So it's now 10, 15 minutes on one topic that someone would have heard me say in person.
Yes.
But we all have to accommodate that. So there's what I agree entirely. The more we can ideate together, the better it is. And the more we can use any tool possible, like even using Idea Flip for like sticky notes. I mean, that's a great
Yes.
tool.
Exactly.
I mean, it's an awesome tool, but you got to learn how to use it. You can't just like, how do so. But, when I started my career, this is how old I am, faxes were the fast thing. We had I worked on a Wang computer, Wang
Ah,
processor with green type. Oh my God, that's how old I am. And fax machines that you couldn't pre-program. So, like,
yeah.
all the junior birdmen in the agency, when we had a press release we had to get out, if it
Mm-hmm.
was a publicly traded company, it had to go off market, right? So we'd be there at midnight, 6 of
Mm.
us. In that agency, we had 6 fax machines, and there were 6 of us, and we'd have stacks because everything had to have a cover
Yeah,
page, right? I don't know
yeah,
if you remember
yeah.
this. You're probably too
I
young for
do.
this.
No, no,
Cover
I
page.
remember.
But you couldn't pre-program it. Like that, people out there going, what the hell is a fax machine?
Yeah.
Anyway, so we'd all 6 of us be standing, but we'd be on different floors. So then there was the intercom system, and someone would get on. We'd all sign, fill all them out like from 10 o'clock to midnight. And
Yeah.
then we'd all get to our fax machines, and someone would get on the intercom. Okay, everybody. All right, start faxing. Ding, ding. And then you'd hear shit because something would get jammed or whatever, right? This was like, I mean, the fax changed everything
Yeah.
because you used to send a memo across town. It would get there in 3 days, and you'd have another 3 days to respond. Now a fax needed a response the next day.
That's right.
Now think about this, right? We're getting emails and complaints if we don't respond in 20 minutes.
Exactly. Exactly.
So everything on that has changed, right? So how you accommodate it all, you got to adjust. And, I think being human is adjusting.
Mm.
It was actually adjusting in the medieval times. I mean, everyone thinks about it as a very static time. It was not a static time at all. I mean, people were adjusting all the time. They were adjusting to worse things than we are. I
Mm.
mean, do we have a roof or not? But
Yeah.
it's a whole different kind of thing. People are people.
Which is wonderful. And I can see, Lee, that you have a real love of people and a
I
love of what
do.
you do. I love that
Yeah.
passion. And I can see the threads between everything you do. It's really wonderful.
Mm-hmm.
I've taken up so much of your time
Oh my gosh, I've
today.
taken up so much of your. I
No,
keep
that's okay.
talking.
That's all right. I'll put some things in the show notes for people who
Mm-hmm.
want to contact you. So we'll put your
Great.
website there and some other things. But just in closing though, maybe there's a question I haven't asked you, or
Hmm.
do you have any final thoughts? We've sort of walked
Yeah.
around, I think. We've gone from the past to the future as well.
Yeah.
So
And
any
back.
final thoughts? Yeah.
My final thought is that we all have something to offer, and if we can figure out how to convey that, the world will be a better place. And, that's how I've structured my business. We just help good people and good companies achieve their goals through
Mm-hmm.
communication. So I've centered my life around how I use my other time. And in the end, it's all about connection.
Yes.
And if we can just spend a little more time thinking about how to connect, perhaps things would be better.
Yeah, yeah. I love that. That's a lovely final thought. Thank you so much, Lee. Really
Thank you,
appreciate
Josephine.
having you on. It was such a pleasure to talk to you, and I know we could keep going. So thank you so much. We'll talk to
Thank
you
you
soon.
so much for
hopefully.
having me. Yes.
Thank you.